Okay, guys, just a little best practices here. How to handle this, how I would have done this, so we didn't end up in this situation. And honestly, there's no blame to go around. That's the most legitimate looking bogus email I've ever seen. And it may not be bogus. That may be a legitimate closing packet, or there may have been the original sending email may have been a legitimate, but malware on that lady's computer jumped in and tagged along. That said, IT, a lot of large corporate companies, the IT departments tend to at least have some sort of policy about zip files, because you can zip anything into a zip file, and it's really not the best way to do that. I understand why banks are doing it, and to my horror, I went on eHow and saw that there's all these people, oh, this is how you send multiple files in an email. It's a convenience thing. It's squeezing everything into one small file. But the problem is you can squeeze anything into it. So which is what we ran into here. Okay. So let's say we get our zip file. The last thing we want to do is double click on it. We don't want to do that, because then that's starting the zip process, the unpacking process. It's saying, what do you want to do with it? But if you look there, there's a warning there. It says you should only open attachment to trustworthy source. A little bit of heads up. I'm not sure if the version of Outlook you guys were using will give you that. That said, we don't want to see this message, and if we ever do, the only way we want to respond to it is not open or save. It is cancel. Okay, you don't want to open it as it is, because it's going to assume you want to unpack it. That's the problem. That's a no-no. You don't want to unpack it until it gets scanned. Okay. So that said, I'm going to minimize here just for a second. So I know I've got a zip file. Now I want to scan this before I unpack it. So what I'm going to do, or unzip it, whatever I'm going to call it, I'm just going to create a new folder. In this case, I call it zip, and you could just have a folder called zip and leave it there. You could do that. You can call it closing packet, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it zip just for ease of demonstration. Okay. Alright, so we got a folder there called zip. I'm going to go back to my email. Alright, so I can either, if I can see that folder, I can drag it. That's one option. Or the other thing I can do is just do a save as. Go to desktop. On desktop I see zip. Or closing packet, or whatever you call the folder. So we put it in there. Why do I say put it in a folder? Really simple. You don't know what's zipped up in there. And I do this all the time. I'll download driver packets, a legitimate reason for a zip. I'm downloading something from HP or something like that, and there'll be 100 files in there. So you don't want 100 files on the desktop. Usually when you extract it or unzip it or whatever you want to call it, unpack, extract, zip, unzip, whatever, you don't want 100 files on your desktop. That's annoying. So that said, all right, it's in there. So we're going to go in there. We don't want to double click on it like I just did there. That's a no-no. We've just opened it. Basically, it's still zipped up, but we're into the content. So if there's something bad in there, and this is usually about where the antivirus, if there was something bad in there, would kick on. Trend would normally, if it recognized something, kick on right about there. So even if you did that, if you went that far, you might have gotten some safeguards. Okay, so we're going to go back. All right, it's still zipped up. All we got to do is right-click on it and go scan for security threats. It's that easy, and it should be very quick, because the file shouldn't be that big if they made it through an email. So boom, 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 nothing detected. So then I can unzip it, I can extract it, I can double click in it and then copy that stuff out, or I can right click on it and say extract all. Normally it will want to extract it to the folder it's in, and that's why I don't just put it on the desktop, because it will extract it to the desktop. You'll have 100 files on your desktop. Ugly, you don't want that. So you just hit extract, and now we've got a folder inside zip called closing packet, which has the the things that were attached in it. And then you can either take that entire folder, if it has a logical name, and drag it into the client file, or just drag the files, however you cut and paste, whatever. Just for good measure, you've scanned the zip file. You scan that. You scan that for security threats, right? Didn't find any, unpacked it. Sometimes packed up, the threats aren't as obvious. So just for good measure, before you put it on the server, I'd still right-click over here and say scan for security threats. Just scan that folder. Just scan that one folder one time, just to be sure. Just one extra step. Just given what we just went through, not a bad thing. Speaking about what we just went through, we're going to go and we're going to take the trend from now on. When we leave for the day, we're gonna open up the main console, and not from now on forever, but from now on for a month, just to be safe. We're gonna go to scan. We're gonna go to full scan, and then we're gonna check that box that says shut down when it's done, which it will shut the computer off for you. So you can walk away. You can leave for the day with that running like that. But that's how we're gonna close up for the foreseeable future. Okay, thanks guys.